Hey, that's another thing. I think that's also.
Keep going.
I think last week they edited out your music.
Oh, they did?
I watched it, and the first of it didn't have any volume.
Yeah. I knew I got a copyright strike, but
they said it was okay. They're just going to monetize it.
Yep. But, oh, well. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us again on Pop Culture Clobberin Time. I got it right the first time.
I bet it was comic book Clobberin Time.
Maybe next time. Good morning, Discovery Bay. How are you?
Disco.
And he was here an hour early, and that's West Coast time. See Wood, our fellow Hoosier. Good morning. Good to see you.
There you go.
Let me thank both of you guys right off the bat for sticking with our entire episode last night. You were a limited edition of like 21 people that witnessed what went down in our to never be named again trial.
Never.
But it's JB's birthday.
My birthday.
JB, not J. Whatever.
What?
Happy birthday, JB.
Happy birthday. That's it.
We can't afford that. Man.
We'll get our volume taken off if I sing the rest.
Yeah, it's copyrighted.
I'll tell you what, JB's been killing us since he got back on the YouTube.
Definitely.
Anyways, happy Halloween, guys! Right, tomorrow's Halloween.
Yeah, man. I went as far as I'm gonna for dressing up for Halloween. But
I like this because we all are like, "Oh, let's dress up, let's do this," and then Vic doesn't even show up as what he was supposed to be, and then
I said just like, a month ago, are we gonna dress up? And y'all said, "No."
No, never did I say that. Never did I say that.
Brother just can't go get stuff off the rack. All right.
I didn't get anything off the rack. And by the way, I'm not a Ghostbuster, which I know I look like a Ghostbuster. Anybody that knows, that's
okay.
Look at that beauty. The time I took for this.
Let's get the crowd,
and then having to, and it gets in the hair, and then I try to spray paint the hair, and then it gets on the mask, so then I have to spray paint the mask again. The idea, folks, is if you recognize that, it is the TVA emblem, and it's like a tan. I am a time variant of Michael Myers. I am the variant from which they got the Spock mask instead of the Kirk mask. And if you didn't know, that's the mask that Michael Myers wears, is a whiteout Captain Kirk mask.
Yeah, William Shatner mask. Huh. I gotta tell you, I admire the effort and the imagination put into that. That is definitely one of the best costumes I've seen this year.
That's 3 fandoms. That's Star Trek, that's Halloween, and that's Loki. So there you go.
It checks a lot of boxes.
Here's the thing: when it takes a lot of time, it's like you only get to do this one day out of the year. You might as well have fun doing it, not just putting on a patch blue ribbon hat and sitting there in a pink shirt.
Hey, oh, you know what? I should wear a black sweatshirt with all the holes in it, and I could have been Luke Cage, right?
Do it. Be Luke Cage. Oh, that would have been great. I would have loved to see your Luke Cage.
Yeah, well, I was going to be the penguin.
Get the tiara and stuff. That'd be great.
He calls it a tiara.
Tiara? What is it? It is.
It does look like a tiara. Yeah, but I wouldn't tell Luke
that. That's what they call it. That is what they call it in the comic book.
They call it a tiara? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Good morning, Gore Vidal. And thank you for hanging with us last week.
Thank you, sir.
What happened last night? I have no idea.
Last night was a Disco After Dark. Well, I learned that James Tynion can write bad comic books. Not 1, but 2.
What?
Apparently, he had 2 stinkers this week. I couldn't tell you which one it was, which one they were.
One of them had to be House of Slaughter, which I haven't read yet.
Yeah.
I need to make up my mind if I'm going to keep on that train or not. But my costume, air quotes costume, is if Okay. No, I'll just say it. I was gonna say I'll give somebody a prize if they can tell me what the reference to the hat is. But if you've been watching,
I know what it is. I know what it
is.
Jamie Hood not having a costume, so he throws on a pair of shades and a hat.
I mean, he could have been Cane Pool if he wanted to. It's right over there in the corner.
Man, you guys.
In Jamie's first video he ever did, he made reference to this hat.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
This hat is what started it all. No, it's one of the first stories I told was how my dad had this Pabst Blue Ribbon hat made out of beer cans, that was knitted together, that he kept kind of all his junk in, like his little nudie playing cards, stuff like that. Yeah, they're not in there anymore.
He's J Hood Senior. That's who he is.
But he's never worn this hat in his life. He brought it home one day from work. I don't know how or where he got it, but it's hot out here. So,
now
it's mine forever. He doesn't want it back.
You won't wear it. Keep the glasses on at least.
All right, it's hot.
You should have shaved your man into a goatee. You could have been Evil Jamie. You should be Evil Jamie for the rest of the show.
I don't even know how to do that.
Just be like anti everything you like, and just be like, I don't like comic books, or just talk about how much you love new comic books, and you love Chris Evans. You love Chris Evans. He is the best Captain America.
This goes for you.
Evil
that's like one of the first songs I learned when I was a kid.
Discovery Bay says House of Slaughter started slow, and DC versus Vampires was. What the heck?
DC versus really?
Yeah,
it's a thing.
I was surprised to see he wrote that. I mean, I don't know how they wrote him into that thing.
By the way, if he's supposed to be stopping writing mainstream comic books, why does he seem like he's writing like 15 of them?
I don't know. But hey, it's Halloween, and we promise we're going to talk about the things that are the best about Halloween. For that, I kind of just grabbed a stack of stuff that I like that is kind of Halloween or horror related. I'm not like the biggest like slasher film fan. I mean, I like the classics like Nightmare on Elm Street, things like that, but I'm not watching them every year. You know me, I'm more of a classic old school guy. Grew up staying up late watching Creature Feature to see all the Universal monsters.
Hey, speaking of Elm Street, being this close to Chicago, have you ever been to Elm Street?
I didn't even know it's there.
Campus of Wheaton College.
Okay.
There's an Elm Street in every town.
No, but the Elm Street that Nightmare on Elm Street is based on, is on the campus of Wheaton.
Good morning, Legion of Comics. Good to see you. I lurked on your show a little bit yesterday.
You know how many documentaries I've watched, and they've never mentioned that.
That's funny. You know why? Because who wrote Nightmare on Elm Street?
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven? He got kicked out of Wheaton.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Orvidal's backing up JB's claim about those stinkers that Tinian put out this week.
Let's talk about comics and horror and Halloween.
All right.
Oh.
So what was your favorite character or horror related character?
If it was horrific, if it was like a horror, I mean, you got Tales from the Crypt, you got the old EC comic books, but I've always been, when it comes to it, I've always been the monster guys. I loved the Demon, of course, because, you know, my boy G. Kirby, you got the Demon out there. I mean, he's not playing around. He's got the monster stuff. He's got especially in the 70s. The 70s was a huge time for like the devil. Sorry, guys. I mean, you're just coming off of Rosemary's Baby. You're coming off of The Exorcist. I think this was before The Exorcist came out, but there was a huge occult thing going on in the late 60s, early 70s. And I think Kirby tapped into it. And he made a nice monster. That monster face. I mean, if you go back to the classics, right? You go back.
I mean, that is a cool looking dude right there.
Yeah,
I like
you
that.
you go back to the classics, Universal monsters. I'm sure Kirby loved those. I'm sure he loved Frankenstein. He probably put him in almost every book ever done. And you got an iconic look. I think if this came out as a movie, I think the Demon, if it wasn't a comic book and it was a movie, you would still be talking about that movie today. They'd be remaking that every single time. And he rhymes, which, I mean, what? We got the Leprechaun that does that. I don't know. I haven't seen all the Leprechauns. But
so what does the Demon do?
well, okay, so basically he's from like Camelot, right? He was a guy that was cursed. he was cursed by Merlin, I think, or Morgan Le Fay, Morgana.
Yeah, okay.
And so he was cursed.
So this is right my island. Then.
Yeah. Huh?
I mean, it had its basis there, but kind of all of Kirby stuff kind of evolved into other things. But yeah, I always had a hard time reading the Demon because it did rhyme or was meant to, and I couldn't imagine having to write the dialogue.
Well, Kirby could do that. Oh, anyway, so in the modern times, he was basically kind of like a not a Sherlock Holmes, but he was a guy that would go and do. He was a Scooby-Doo guy, or he would go and fight. He would go and fight other monsters type thing. It was like he could turn into the Demon. It was Jason Blood. He would chant, he would do his little chant, and he would come out as the Demon, and then they would fight other monsters. It's a Monster Mash book, and that's why I like it when it comes to that.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it was a cool way to kind of mix the horror monster thing with alter ego. It's a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, kind of like the Hulk, but I don't know. The Demon had, he wasn't like a raging fiend like the Hulk was. They were able to infuse a personality in him.
Yeah, I think that's why they gave him the rhyming. Now, did he do the rhyme in the old book? I can't remember. Or was that something that they gave him in the later books?
I can't remember. I'm not sure that I've read. I've only got a couple of issues of the Kirby stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if
he goes crazy in it. The Kirby, like the 70s Kirby, he just goes nuts. He's like
the form of man, rise, the Demon, Etrigan. That's the kind of rhyme we're talking about.
Yeah. So there you go. That's what I'm saying. As far as like comic book monsters, creatures, I think he was original. I think he was cool looking, and I think if you put him in other media, he would have been $1 billion. Anyways, go ahead, Vic.
Wood read Barry Windsor Smith's Monsters. So this is a good Halloween read. I've heard good things about it. I know Gore Vidal's talked about that one before.
I'm just curious. I mean, you talk about demons. I see you got some books here. What would it take for somebody to come up with an original, true, monster story?
What do you mean, true monster?
I mean, when you said the demon's a monster, Al's you can't have those pretty boys like Lucifer and all these other guys. Just somebody that's just evil. I mean,
like ugly monsters. You talking like the fly-looking Frankenstein? That's the trope, basically. You got the ugly Frankenstein, which I believe was just Universal Monsters because it wasn't in the book. He was actually pretty good looking, I believe. He's just yellow skin and everything. A new monster. I don't think you can do anything really new. You can flip the switch on it. You know what I'm saying? Because everything's been done under the sun, as we all know. It's the shine and spit polish that you put on something.
Okay.
That's why you got new comic books. That's why they reboot stuff all the time. They're like, well, it's just the same as this. Let's reboot this, and it usually sucks. But I'm not gonna get into that.
Okay, there's your favorite monster,
Solomon Grundy. Yes, saw him in 2 episodes of Stargirl, and I love him. I almost bought his first appearance 3 times.
What is his first appearance? What is Solomon Grundy's first appearance?
It's a Golden Age book.
Or no,
Well, it
so
has
it was
to
the
be.
second appearance because it was a Silver Age. You know, I ain't getting no Golden Age book.
Now, who was his original nemesis then? Like, was it Green Lantern or Batman?
It wasn't either of those, I don't think.
I don't think
Really?
so. I mean, when they brought him back in the Silver Age, he was fighting Our Man.
Yeah, Our Man.
And
It was a
Dr. Fate, I
JSA.
think.
Oh, so maybe Starman or
Yeah, it was somebody like that.
I'm intrigued that he's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. I don't know his origin story at all, but I was like, I need to find out about this guy. So I started looking at his books, and one day he and I were talking, and we were looking at the book. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna get this. And then the price went up too high. I was like, Then I got an alert. It's like, ooh, I'm gonna get this. And the price went up too high.
I told you. Thank you, Legion of Comics. Legion of Comics, right there. Go up, right there. Alan Scott, GL, baby. Okay. Boom. Tell me no Green Lantern.
Huh? Golden Age Green Lantern.
Okay. Hey, look, there's been 500 Green Lanterns, all right?
Well, the first one.
Oh,
sorry.
Nobody talks about.
Yeah, the first Silver Age was a showcase.
Sorry. Anyways, go ahead about Solomon Grundy.
No,
that's all I had to say about that.
That's all I have to say about it.
My favorite kind of horror-based comic was always Swamp Thing, especially the first 11 issues by Bernie Wrightson. I've seen 2 other channels do reviews of the IDW Artifact edition of Bernie Wrightson's Swamp Thing work, and I went out and got myself a copy. I wish it had been here for Halloween, but next show I'll have a big oversized true scale book of Bernie Wrightson goodness from Swamp Thing.
Oh, that book. Oh yeah. Now my question is, these are 20 cents, those are 60 cents. Well, how far apart in years are these?
Can you hand me one of those so the people can see what I mean?
I remember the Swamp Thing. I had a Swamp Thing craze in the 80s after seeing the movie. I loved I think it was just the trailer I seen of the Swamp Thing, too.
Yeah, the Swamp Thing movie, I didn't have any problems with it for what it was.
Oh, I'm telling you, it was great. I love when he gets his arm cut off.
So this is actually my first exposure to Swamp Thing. This is a comic given to me by my uncle, who was one of the people that gave me comics as a youngin' and kind of stirred my interest. But the price on the books got too high for him, and he got out. So this reprints like the last 3 issues, I think, of Bernie Wrightson's Swamp Thing run. So
the first Swamp Thing book I don't have the cover for. It was actually, I was living in Texas, went to a 7-Eleven, and I had it. I know the beginning of it. He's like fighting another like Swamp Thing creature in the beginning on like a mountaintop or something.
I mean, this book was well loved. I mean, it was given to me almost brand new, so you can tell I kind of read the heck out of it.
How cool is this picture? This is what Bernie Wrightson does?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
We need to do more. We need to talk more about him.
Oh, we will.
Well, so what story is this?
That's another issue from okay. So this one's $1. How much is that one?
60 cents.
This is 60 cents. So these were reprint comics where they put basically 2 to 3 stories in each issue of Bernie Wrightson's original run. So that was my original exposure. I just bought this a few years ago. So, yeah, when it comes to like naming the best of horror in comics, my go-to is always Bernie Wrightson.
Gotcha. Yeah, Swamp Thing. We could segue into movies with that.
Well, hold on. I've got a couple other things to show.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because I could talk about. I can ask my question, but go ahead.
Okay, so a couple other I store these in my spinner rack. These were original buys as a kid. DC had these horror titles in the 70s. I mean, they've almost always had them running, but for whatever reason, I picked this one up, and the stories in it really struck me, so I held on to it. And then this Secrets of Haunted House issue. I love the writing, the word balloon. If you're not nice to me, my friend Nick will get you. He's
Nicodemus?
Monster Nick there.
Oh.
A couple other comic kind of related books. This is a Marvel graphic novel published when I was in high school by John J. Muth. It's an adaptation of Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. So it's all watercolor artwork in that. And then bringing it back full circle.
Oh, baby.
This is my edition of Bernie Wrightson's adaptation. Well, he didn't adapt it. It's all the original text of the book Frankenstein. But he did 50 illustrations that are all that intricate.
Uh-huh. Well, so they use Mary Shelley's Full Government on that.
Mm-hmm.
What's that middle name say?
Wollstonecraft.
Why don't you bust it open, man? Show it off.
Because yeah. So it's in relatively good condition. I went out looking for another copy so that I could share it with my daughter because she's into spooky things, and it's a pricey book. This is like $100.
Really?
Yeah. Let me see if I can find something quick that.
Which one's in the spooky things? The older one or the younger one?
Harper.
I mean.
You should zoom in. You should
make yourself bigger, maybe.
Make yourself big, yeah.
Ah!
I gotta cover your face.
Oh man, the camera likes me too much.
Oh, this okay. So
the amount
in the foreground, we've got the doctor looking at a dead body on a table, but in the background, you see kind of a specter back over here, just kind of hanging out.
And he did all this art?
Yeah, it took him like 7 years to do these 50 illustrations.
I believe it, because they're all super detailed. And they're all in black and white?
Yeah. Really, really iconic, memorable work in this book. And it is all, based on the Mary Shelley text.
We're doing a Bernie Wrightson show in like 4 weeks. Look, I have no pool around here, so I'm just pretending like I do. 2 weeks, we're going to do something else. And 2 weeks after that, we're doing a Bernie Wrightson show.
Look at this. He spent a while drawing some books on that one.
We're going to do our 51 favorite Bernie Wrightson books.
Did he do that many?
Huh?
Has he done 51 books?
I don't know. Full books? I'm not sure. Good morning, promiscuous time traveler. Good to see you.
Promiscuous girl.
There we go. So yeah, they've done several editions of this book. This was the original first edition, I believe, back in I think I bought this in the 80s. And I don't know if this was the first edition or not. It was published by Marvel. But I know they've done a nice hardback in the last 15 or 20 years. But yeah.
Nice.
Let's catch up with some of the comments here. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about horror films in a second. Seawood says, gotta love the Swamp Thing. 70s DC horror. Yep. Gort's got a comment here. John J. Muth is fantastic. His mythology of an abandoned city which appeared in Epic magazine. It's in the 80s, one of my favorite comics of all time. I'll have to try and find that. I know Epic is much like a heavy metal magazine. It's published by Marvel. Huh. Tragic story is that Mary Shelley's mother died giving birth to her. someone who has inspired the imagination of so many artists.
Wow. Gore just has all. I mean, I used to think I knew a bunch of trivial stuff, but Gore has me beat so bad.
And let me tell you, I went and looked at some of Gore's content, and he hasn't put out anything in a while. So I'm putting it out there. Gore Vidal. I'd like to see what you got to say these days.
Now, you mentioned Swamp Thing. My question is, what's the difference between? I know DC and Marvel, they like to, copy each other. What's the difference between Swamp Thing and Man Thing?
Many things.
Okay.
Well, one thing, Man Thing, if you're evil, he burns you with his touch.
Oh.
So he grab more. I mean, they basically got the same intro, the same entrance. Man Thing doesn't talk. I don't think he does. He's kind of just when he grab you. He's more of he's more of just a beast. Where Swamp Thing is either a man that's been turned into a swamp creature, or he's a swamp creature that thinks he used to be a man. That's the story there. He doesn't either. That's the thing. That's the twisted thing. He could be, just a monster that thinks he used to be a man, or vice versa.
So Swamp Thing is a much more interesting character then.
Oh yeah, that's why he's had two movies and two TV shows. He had his own toy line. I think he's the one that did the best crossover because it was a Wes Craven movie. I think that's what sparked it, right? I mean, who makes a Swamp Thing movie? And I think that even though people says it sucked or whatever, it wasn't one of his best. It had to do something. That's why they came back with that god awful return of Swamp Thing, and then they did the god awful TV show, the first one, and then the second one I never watched, so I can't.
Well, I heard a lot of people liked the people that I watch on here apparently liked the TV show, but apparently they were the only ones.
They did a new one a couple of years back on. There was a streaming show that.
Oh, they did one on CW.
Yeah. Oh, it was on CW. I thought it was on.
It was like HBO. Well, see, that's the thing. I never watched it, so I can't comment on it. But I'm talking about the original USA show, and it had a cartoon, and it had a toy line. So I'm telling you, he was the most crossover.
He was bankable.
But and the guy Dick Durock was from Indiana, I believe, and his sister was my drama teacher in middle school.
Nice.
So there you go.
See what's breaking down the keys for you for Swamp Thing. House of Secrets 92 was the first appearance. That book really spiked a few years ago. I'm not sure where it's at now.
I think I saw the boy who had 7 get one of those, didn't he?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's the kind of book he goes after. Swamp Thing 1. Personally, I like Swamp Thing 1 better. It's the origin story of the character that kind of had the continuing storyline. And then Saga of the Swamp Thing 21 was when Alan Moore started writing the title, I believe in the 80s.
Okay.
And it was definitely some great work, and that kind of richened the character a lot. Swamp Thing series on HBO Max is solid. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that used to be on the CW.
Yeah, it was on DC streaming. Very R-rated.
Yeah, I don't. Thank goodness it wasn't on the CW.
Gore breaks it down eloquently. Alan Moore redefined Swamp Thing by making him an entity with the memories of a man who died. All the time, he thought he was the man and had hoped to be human again, but he never was.
Oh, little Pinocchio.
Existential crisis.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
I got something else to watch now.
There you go.
Yeah, so now that we segue into another media, let's talk about, Halloween, guys. Halloween, your favorite horror or thriller or scary movie that character or movie that you loved that you got to watch on Halloween to get that vibe. That's what it's about, is the Halloween vibe. Doesn't necessarily have to be on Halloween. Just got to give you the creeps.
Yep.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Jamie.
See, horror movies for me, once I learned too much, like Amityville Horror, like I'm an old guy, right? Amityville Horror scared the bejesus out of me. And then I learned it was based on a true story. Oh, Hell no. And then The Exorcist. Watched The Exorcist a billion times. And I'm like, well, that took place downtown at St. Louis University. I'm like, what? Oh, no. See, I don't like to be scared. All right? I don't like to be scared. So I've never, might watch Friday the 13th once. I might have watched, no, I don't know. No. I mean,
it doesn't have to
I got
be
in trouble one night.
It doesn't have to be like murder and all that. It's mental. It's psychological.
Yes. My parents are gone. I stayed at HBO. Watch Friday the 13th, Halloween, one of the movies. Right. I was scared. I had all the lights in the house on. My mom came home and beat my butt, wasting electricity for what? Watch the movie you weren't supposed to be watching in the first place. See, she beat the horror movie out of me.
There you go.
No.
Made the lasting impression right there.
Yes. Yeah, I started getting twitchy on Friday the 13th,
So in our house, okay, so we got kids that are over the age that it's like they don't go to bed early. So whatever we watch on TV has got to be appropriate for them. So this week we've been watching Young Frankenstein, which the parts that are inappropriate, they are too young to pick up on. So
makes it the perfect family movie, right?
Yep. So it's not too scary. It's not going to give anybody nightmares, but it's my favorite Frankenstein movie because I've watched it the most. But when it comes to the Universal monsters, my favorite is the original Boris Karloff Frankenstein. Got this nice, handsome DVD set here. And when it comes to slasher movies, like I said, I don't like dwell on them. I don't make a point of watching all the new ones, all the remakes or anything. But my original favorite was the first 4 Friday the 13th movies. I made a nice little storyline there. Just keep it tight to those 4, They came back with a new set of the movies that made us, and they did one on Friday the 13th. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I like Nightmare on My Street by Will Smith, by the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff.
I played the hell out of that. I had that tape. Yeah, man.
Stewart says he's been watching the Romero zombie movies, the Phantasm series, and the Evil Dead for Halloween season. Okay.
Go ahead.
Asterisk there on the Phantasm series. If you've watched the latest Phantasm movie, one of my friends from college directed that movie. Nice. I've been trying to get him on the show. He might come on someday. He's a great artist. Gore Vidal says The Omen, starring Gregory Peck and Lee Remick, which I saw as a kid at the drive-in theater, still terrifies me today. No doubt. Seawood says, there was a day I turned off my brain and watched Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason X. You got more time than I got.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Let's go back up.
Wow.
Before Al gets into his, Gore had a couple other picks up here earlier. One of my favorite horror movies is the silent film The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I don't know that I've ever seen it, but I'll show you kind of the reference to my knowledge of horror movies in a second after Al goes. Gore says, I always enjoy erotic horror films, like the remake of Cat People starring Natasha Kinski and Malcolm McDowell, The Possession with Sam Neill and Isabel Adjani, and Burning Rights and Forever. I remember that remake of Cat People being out as a kid, and I've never gone back to watch it.
Yeah, it's got a great David Bowie song, and it always freaked me out to see Malcolm McDowell eating like skin. It was just like, it was like he was eating sliced ham.
Malcolm McDowell has such an interesting filmography back in those days.
Yeah,
starting with the Clobberin.
He had to be on some super drugs. There had to be something going on that they didn't want to put him in anything. Anyway, so hey man, I love Halloween, especially nowadays when it's like we've been cooped up somewhere for so long. It's the one day or one era you can just let's do this.
Yep.
Last year I did a Zoom with our buddy the Havertz, and this year we was gonna go to the party, but unfortunate.
Yeah.
But so what I like to do is I like to watch a horror movie each night. This year was just stuff that I'd never seen. Okay.
All right.
And there's a reason why I've never seen it, because it's garbage. Next year, I'm sticking to the waterfalls I know. Okay.
To the classics.
Don't go chasing waterfalls, baby, because you're gonna find the tourist trap, and you're
Stick
gonna
to the
find
rivers
how
and lakes that you're used to.
there. Unbelievable. I found some garbage, guys. I gotta admit, I fell off the horse, the wagon, whatever, watching these movies, because in the middle I'm falling asleep. I'm like watching it, and so I'm like, yeah, that counts. That counts. I can't tell you half the movies I watch, but I'll tell you the movies I've always loved. And when it comes to Halloween, I remember the first. You gotta give it to Halloween, though. That's the thing. When it comes to that, there's nothing like the first original two, and throwing the original two Halloween movies. There's that atmosphere, that mood that the first two give. Even though two's like just these walking around in a hospital, killing people. I remember the reason why I love it, I think, is it's a nostalgia trip. Is because when I was like 9 or something, and we had like my brother and sister had a Halloween party, and all the friends came over and spent the night. Halloween 2, the first time I seen it was on Channel 9. Okay. And it, I didn't think anything of it, but it's burned into my brain. So I give Halloween 1 and 2 the love. You got to play those, right? You got to play those on Halloween. And then the third one, Season of the Witch, which is witch sandwich. People hate it. People hate it. It's the one where the kid puts on the mask, watches the TV screen, and the snakes and insects start coming out of him.
Oh,
yeah, and then like everybody's being replaced by robots. So it is awesome. This movie is so underrated. I love it. It's the creepiest one out of all of them.
Yeah, you lost me with snakes.
I love Michael Myers. Okay, I love Michael Myers, but you give me that. If you would have just put out Halloween 3 as, Season of the Witch.
As the Season of the Witch without Halloween on the front end.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. It would have been like, whoa, this is crazy. And I'll give you that. Okay. So when it comes to classic horror, I love, what's funny is I love the Frankenstein movies, of course, but I lean towards Bride of Frankenstein because I love the ending when the bride comes out and like Frankie, the creature, he's like, and she's like, and he's like, and it's sad. And it's like, man, I know that feeling. And then he goes to like pull the switch, oh, this switch, oh, that switch. Anyways, he goes to grab it, and then like his dad and those guys are like, he's like, you go, we belong dead. And then he pulls the lever,
Mm-hmm.
You can't get more poignant than that. And it's a crazy movie, too. You got the doctor making little tiny people, ballerinas dancing. Mm-hmm. What is that? That's silly for a Frankenstein movie, but it's great. And I love that. And then you can't go wrong with the Wolfman. Anytime you got Lon Chaney Jr., just, oh my goodness, that dude's crazy. Dude, I heard that he used to, he had a room where he would go and get drunk and wrestle one of his co-stars. And they would just tear it up. Well, that dude's crazy, man. Anyways, so,
yeah.
And when it comes to 70s, you gotta give me Exorcist. You gotta give me Exorcist, or my favorite, The Car. I love The Car.
Yep. Or a good bubblegum movie or popcorn movie.
Yeah. So that's my live action movie set. And let's see, Gore is talking about Pinhead. Gotta give it up for Pinhead. Too bad he's only been in 2 good movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really did like the Hellraiser movies when they first came out. The first couple, yeah. And then they, like all horror movies, they take it too far doing the sequels. Let's see.
Yeah.
Gore liked Season of the Witch. Grant Morrison wrote a Hellblazer story with a similar premise.
Yeah, horror movies. Say.
Second Street.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, let me tell you, I have a huge space in my heart for Texas Chainsaw 2. That is funny. If you haven't, it's gory, but it's hilarious. Look what you done to my Sonny Bono wig. You know, it's funny, man. If you haven't seen it, listen, there was something in the 80s where it started with like Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2 started it.
Rings.
Yeah, Return of the Dead started. Living Dead started this whole huge thing where it was like funny horror. It was like dark comedy horror. And Texas Chainsaw 2, beautiful. Businessman always gets it in the end. Oh, an American Werewolf. American Werewolf in London was huge dark comedy. It was like he sees his buddy. How did I forget that? That is a great. I think that's my favorite werewolf movie.
Mine too, by far.
Even though I love Lon Chaney Jr. So.
And speaking of London stuff, you know how much of my life I spent being scared of the fog?
The movie The Fog? It wasn't even in
if
London.
It was a foggy day outside, I wasn't going nowhere.
You want to talk about, and I got to say The Shining. You want to talk about being afraid of something.
For the Blob?
You would be afraid of something when it was snowy out and I'd have to go take the trash out and I see it and I remember the end of The Shining where he's being chased through I was looking for Jack Nicholson with an axe. Every time I had to go out in the snow. It's great.
So a couple of my favorite books in my big kind of what do you call it, coffee table book collection.
There's nothing on there.
Yeah. And there you go.
What is that? You didn't even say. You need to blow it up.
Monsters. But it's my daughter will come down here and flip through these for hours. And yeah, it just pages after pages of references to all the classic horror movies.
Yeah. You know what? I remember The Fly, Vincent Price. We'll talk about Vincent Price because what? Is he from St. Louis, of course?
Yes, he's from St. Louis.
Okay.
And he voices in the Thriller.
Yeah, but he didn't get paid for that.
Really?
Michael Jackson, there's a huge discrepancy between those two. I'm sure they're still fighting wherever they are.
Wherever they are.
Yeah. One might be in a different place. But anyways. I didn't ask you. We're talking about the favorite horror or monster from the comic book. What about storyline? Is there a storyline from the comic books that is like spooky that you guys dug at all?
That's a good question because it's hard for me to get scared by something I read. Let me think.
Well, that's what they used to do. Sorry.
Yeah, but I've never been a big boy book reader either.
Ooh, I finally realized my favorite horror movie of all time, Little Shop of Horrors.
I like it as a movie. I'm not sure about the horror part.
Some of the trailers used to be awesome. I mean, the Jaws trailer was like, it's as if God, the devil gave. Wait, it's as if God gave the devil teeth and called him Jaws. That's awesome. Right. Go back and watch the ABC Sunday night movie trailers. It's like Robert Shaw,
the movie Richard trailers,
and it's just like it's great. YouTube has them. Just listen to them, and I got taken back. I remember they have the Star Trek 1 and 2 on there. You can just listen to the commercials. And I'm waiting to have to be told to go take a shower when I'm watching. I gotta go take your turn. Big bit of water is all cold. It's like, don't worry about it. Get in there. Anyways, Jaws. I can't get it. I love Jaws. Jaws is probably my favorite movie of all time, but I can't consider it like a Halloween movie. That's summertime for me.
It was definitely a horror movie.
It's everything. Maybe. It is everything. It's a psychological thriller.
Yeah, probably more thriller.
It's a comedy. It's an action flick. That's all around. That's why I like it so much. And it has a great theme song and great music inside.
When it comes to film in general, what I'm finding is I've got the most appreciation for when they do these movies like Jaws, Star Wars, Blade Runner, Alien, where they've got this big, huge idea of what they want to do, and the filmmakers get this super limited budget by the studio, and they figure out how to make a masterpiece with all these limitations. Where like in Star Wars, you don't realize how much they reuse all the set pieces until you like, oh, I saw that one here and that one there, and they do the same thing in Blade Runner. Yeah. And Jaws, obviously, just the scope of what they wanted to do and all the problems they ran into with that mechanical shark.
Yeah,
and the fact that they had to, use the way they use the editing to build the suspense more than as if you'd see
the music
the music too, for sure.
Yeah, the music saved it. Even Steven Spielberg was like, I watched it without it, and it was like, So that's the same with Halloween, though. We go with that.
Halloween and Friday the 13th too. Yeah.
Oh man, that's the thing. Friday the 13th doesn't get enough love for that score, and especially the.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh,
enough of that. They don't get enough praise for that. It's just because of all the other bad movies that have come out from that line. If you, I said this about the original Halloween. If Friday the 13th Part 1 was just Friday the 13th, you know what I mean? That was the only one, and you got Betsy Palmer coming out, and she's like, "Today is his birthday. He wasn't a very good swimmer, She was." The rest of the movie didn't have to happen. You get Betsy Palmer on that screen for like 10 minutes or whatever it is. And it's like, it almost made, it's like Ernest Borgnine and like The Devil's Reign or something. Dude, they're eating the scenes, man. They're like, they were great. And that was around that time when they were getting like actors from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They're like, hey, you want to be a horrible person in a movie? Yeah, come on in. You got the Rifleman. The Rifleman was in Tourist Trap, and he was pretty good in that. You haven't seen Tourist Trap, check Tourist Trap out. But Friday the 13th, Betsy Palmer, man, just her when she came in, they didn't even like show her to begin with, right? Like they're like, they don't know. Oh, it's kind of a cheat. It really is. It's just like, oh, do you think it's this guy that dropped her off? Do you think it's Crazy Ralph? Do you think no? It's this guy's mom that they didn't show or talk about at all in the movie. So, anyways, Alien. I forgot to name Alien too. I love. Oh, actually, Galaxy of Terror. I haven't seen it in a long time. It is real gross, and it has it has Sid Haig, Robert Englund. I forgot who else. It's crazy. If you want to be grossed out by a alien knockoff. It's an alien knockoff. Roger Corman's Alien or Galaxy of Terror.
Okay.
I watched that as a kid, along with I think I seen Alien at the time. I was more impressed. I was more scared by Galaxy of Terror because it had Joni from Happy Days in it. And she gets crunched, dude. I was depressed. This is Joni, man. Happy Days, brought to you by, oh no, what happened to Joni? Anyway, yeah. And then it's funny because you don't know, when I was a kid, I didn't know anybody else, but now you're like, oh, that's Sid Haig. Oh, that's Robert Englund. It's a movie that kids should not be watching, by the way.
I'll definitely be looking that one up.
Yeah, that's a good one, though. It's gross. It is gross, but it's cool. And it's low budget, so it's even better.
Going back to Gore's comment here about the R ratings as a kid, I wonder how many of those would have been rated PG-13 nowadays.
Yeah.
And Gore, you tell me you never snuck into an R movie, bought a PG ticket.
Blade Runner, Alien, yeah.
Our thing as kids was that my grandparents were the ones with HBO, and it was, let me go to grandma's house on Friday night, spend the night so I can watch, whatever R-rated movie was out, and like they forever it was, I want to see Friday the 13th, I want to see Friday the 13th, and they're like, nah. I'd been exposed to Friday the 13th by buying Famous Monsters of Filmline magazine, and I was trying to find my copies of that. I think they're buried.
Famous Monsters of Filmline.
Yeah, it was a magazine all about everything to do with horror movies.
Nice.
So they'd have a breakdown of, here are all the kill scenes in Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah. Oh, geez. They used to have the VHS you could rent that had I love that. Tom Savini, he was the magician of magic, right? So he would make all these guys. I just watched like a documentary, I think on Prime or something about him, and he's still crazy, so it's great. But they had like the VHS that you could get and watch, and it had like, oh, this is what we did for Jason when we whacked him in the head and he slid down some of the greatest like gore stuff. Still cool, and it's practical effects. That's what I love. I love the practical effects.
Yep.
Anyway, so hey, I'll bring it up now. It could be cartoon, it could be a toy line, it could be comics, I guess. Who is your favorite spooky villain mastermind? Look at that. Obviously mine is Skeletor. Now I like Mumra too, don't get me wrong. Mumra is pretty cool, but Skeletor is the OG. And look at that nice head that they designed for the new. That alone made me buy the figure, the 2-pack. That figure, that head sculpt.
It's pretty cool.
Spooky. So I gotta dig the Skeletor.
Coach Vic, I did sneak in. I had to. It was a challenge because I was the only kid in the screening. I huddled in the back hoping an adult would catch me.
Quiet, minding your own business.
I couldn't have got away.
Morning, John.
Let's see John's comics.
If you want to talk about horror movie, the first horror movies you've seen in the theater, that's I don't know. Like I remember going to see Children of the Corn. E.T. was pretty scary.
It was not in the end a horror movie. It was more of a horror show. The fact that I had to sit through it, well, didn't have to, but for some reason in college we got free tickets to see Children Under the Stairs.
People Under the Stairs.
People Under the Stairs. That's it.
We saw that in college too. For welcome, we took everybody to see that welcome weekend. The funniest movie I ever saw. I'm like, there's no way they intend this movie to be funny.
Oh, my mom would take us to the drive-in.
I mean, funny.
We lived in Texas.
We lived in Texas. Two different movies.
Go ahead.
Lived in Texas. My mom would take us to the drive-in, and we'd watch, of course, Friday the 13th, 3 and 4. It was like a double feature. And then Nightmare on Elm. It was not Nightmare. It was Night of the Living Dead and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was a double feature. And then there was a movie called The Toolbox Massacre Pieces. I don't like that movie. And she'd also take us to see Porky. So, hey, my mom was pretty like, yeah, let's go.
I had HBO, so.
And this I was a kid. This was like 83 or something, or 82 or 83.
My parents are pretty protective, but speaking of Conan, so like I said, my thing was go to grandparents' house, spend the night, and be able to watch whatever blockbuster I wasn't able to see in the movies, right?
Right.
So finally, Conan came to HBO, and I taught my mom and let me spend the night at Grandma and Grandpa's house. They let me watch Conan. Okay, so Conan's got like 8 nude scenes in it. So it's the first time I've ever seen nude scenes. Watching it, my grandpa always sat in the kitchen in a dining room chair, but he had an eye line through the doorway into the living room so he could see the TV. Then my grandmother was in the living room with me watching, and they never said a thing. They never no reaction to any of the nudity or the blood and guts or anything. Yeah. Next day, we're sitting around. I'm like looking through they would record things on VHS so that we could watch them later. And I couldn't find anything I like to watch. And Grandma's like, do you think he'd like to watch Last American Virgin? And somehow I watched The Last American Virgin, which was very much a knockoff of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but a little bit more edgy. And
Good soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. So then my mom comes to pick me up, and I was like, yeah, we watched Conan. There were only 8 nude scenes. And she's like losing her mind. She's like, what?
You have enough sense to shut up, huh?
When I went to my grandma and grandma's house, we watched Martin and Lewis, MASH, and baseball. That's all. So when I was home, I watched the rest of the stuff. I got a question for you since we're on scary movies. You guys, I don't know if what is your favorite transformation of any horror movie? You can talk Wolfman, you can talk The Fly, you can talk The Thing, you can talk any the good popping, maybe a vampire transformation like Fright Night when his girlfriend was sitting there and turning into a vampire in her face, or even Dracula to a bat. What was your favorite transformation, horror transformation?
Well, it wasn't a movie. It was a long form video.
I know where you're going.
Michael Jackson in Thriller.
Transformation.
Yeah. He turned into a werewolf.
He just went down and then got up, right?
No, he at one point, his face bubbled up and then his eyes turned yellow. Huh?
You know who did that?
Yeah, it was
Rick
somebody.
Baker. Rick Baker, who did American Werewolf in London. It was almost the exact same, but I think it was more refined, so it was cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if Michael Jackson did that when he was like, "Come here, little boy."
Why'd you have to go there?
Trick or treat. Trick or treat. I love the music. I can love his music, but anyway.
My favorite transformation scene has to be the American Werewolf in London scene.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the music going in the background.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Teen Wolf.
Yeah, I'd have to go with that. I think that or it was more of a slow transformation, but The Fly.
The Fly.
I think Jeff Goldblum's The Fly. It was disgusting. That was pretty disgusting. Or the guy from The Thing where he's like the guy is trying to resuscitate him and he's shocking him and then his chest opens up and bites the guy's hands off and then he's like and no, better yet when they're testing blood, they're testing to see who's the Thing and then they test the one guy and he starts shaking and then his head opens up. And he bites into the other guy next to him and picks him up, and his legs are all flopping around and stuff. It's so cool. That is classic, and it was practical, and it was real, and there was no CGI.
What movie was that?
The Thing.
John Carpenter's The
Thing. That's one horror movie of that era that I think it's not that people don't like it. People don't talk about it enough, though. It's a great suspenseful horror kind of with a sci-fi take on it.
You gotta watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Bailey Hood. How are you doing? There she is.
You brought me some candy.
No.
Uh-oh.
What are you here to ask? If you can have a piece of candy?
Trick or treat.
No. Wait till after lunch. We'll put it back.
She got quick hands.
You got a favorite?
I'm playing with my slime.
Spooky.
Okay, go play with your slime.
You guys don't like my question, huh?
I can't think of anything because when I was watching animation as a kid, I'm from the era of every episode was one-off. They didn't have recurring.
Well, it could be Disney too. I mean, it is anything like the Black Cauldron. That guy, that guy was definitely scary. The guy from the Black Cauldron.
I don't remember that film.
It was pretty.
Ginger Snaps. Yeah, I watched half of that on accident.
Okay, here. Who's your favorite horror host then? Do you got a horror host? like Sun Svengoolie, Elvira, Vampira, the Ghoul, Gulak, and all that. Victor Von Psychotron.
Yeah,
Joe Bob Briggs. What are you guys doing? You sitting in a room somewhere just like reading the same thing over and over again?
Daddy, the reason I asked is because this is melting.
That's okay, because you're putting it in your hands. Go put it down, and it will not.
No, when I got it, it was melting.
It's not melting.
It was squishy.
Nothing in your mouth, not in your hands.
Go put it. You are not eating it.
Eat it, Vic. Take it from her and eat it.
What a horror movie.
man. But is there anything better than a somewhat melted candy bar, though? I'm finding that when we go upstairs.
So, like I said, I used to watch Creature Feature as a kid, but I don't remember the host, and I'm betting they had one. But yeah, we didn't have Svengoolie around in our area when I was a kid. They really didn't. It wasn't until cable when you had like Up All Night. We used to watch like Up All Night. Rhonda Shear, yeah.
There you go.
I mean, she's kind of the only one I can remember.
Well, he's not really a horror host, but he would show horror movies. Commander USA and the Groovy movies. Remember him?
Now that you mention it, I remember it, but I can't picture him in my head.
You really think I'm joking about this? I avoid horror movies at all costs. I was a scaredy cat. Okay, look, I was scared to go camping. I'd be in these cabins at night, scared to death. Okay, somehow I fell asleep. I don't know how, but I did. Woke up the next day and just knew eventually night was coming.
Night.
I mean, it doesn't help that the black guys always kill first either.
There's
a horror situation.
Hey. Friday the 13th part 2.
What?
Guy survives. White guy survives.
What movie?
Part 2. Friday the 13th part 2.
Oh.
And that was 1980 something.
Yeah.
81. Guy survives.
Gore Vidal says Alistair Cook from Masterpiece Theater.
I know him.
Seawood says Sammy Terry.
Cemetery, yeah. I grew up with Svengoolie, man. I grew up with Son of Svengoolie. But right now I'm watching Joe Bob Briggs, Monster Vision, the old Monster Vision, TNT, but now he's on Shudder. He's doing The Last Drive-In, just like a cowboy.
Didn't we interview somebody who does a scary movie thing on Saturdays?
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah.
He's Victor Von Psychotron. Find him on Weirdo-Rama on YouTube. He shows public domain movies, and he's Victor Von Psychotron, and they're great. So nice. give him a look-see, man. Go watch Weirdo-Rama. If you want to watch some, like, I watched the Fury of the Wolf Man or something, and it was crazy because it was like Italian or something. And there was a lady that was turning guys into just different guys, like medically, into werewolves and stuff. So, like, huh? I came up with an idea. I thought, this is my idea. I know this. I want to do. You know how you see those commercials? This is scary. This commercials where it's like, have you been? Did you're someone you know or love or die from like this pill or something? I want to do a technical movie like that where it's the werewolf movie where it's like, do you know someone that's been turned into a werewolf by taking this, and then like make it like there's people that turn into werewolves that are suing these. I don't know. I just thought it would be a fun, stupid movie. And
it's ripe for a
it's a parody. It's a parody. You get turned into werewolves because you're taking this pill. It's like, it's supposed to be good. Yeah. Good. He ran with, so did he win? Probably not.
Probably not.
He was in I think he had a scene in Texas Chainsaw 2, but it might have been cut out. Where he's just walking down the stairs.
All right. So, any last thoughts or comments on this? Our big Halloween. I don't want to call it the Hootenanny because that's Nick Havert's thing, but
Yeah, the Havertz.
Yeah, big loss there this week.
Hmm.
But so, any last words, Al? Before next time?
The last words is that if we're here next year doing this, and I dress up and you guys don't, I'm walking off. I'm done.
That's all
you guys need to really think about your costumes. This is the one time a year that you get to do this, and you don't want to do it.
I'll either be the Black Punisher or the Black Kingpin.
No superheroes. No, it's got to be something else. I'm tired
Kingpin,
of
the superhero.
That's low-hanging fruit.
All right.
I got a challenge. I want you to watch some horror movies before then too.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Oh, maybe we should pick. Hey, maybe we should each pick. Ooh, we could do that. We'll forget about it. We should each pick what the other one has to be.
10 a.m. in the morning. I watch a horror movie.
Hold on a minute. Let's see if I can get this on.
So Gore, I don't know if you were here for the explanation, but Al is dressed as a variant of Michael Myers, where it's a time variance authority uniform, and instead of a William Shatner Captain Kirk mask, he's got on a Spock mask. Dun, dun, dun.
Can you breathe in that?
All right. With that, we'll sign off. Remember, keep your priorities straight. Faith, family, comic books. We'll see you next time, guys. Live long and prosper.